Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about huge outtakes. Just one huge outtake from the 2023 Dungeons & Dragons Influencer Summit. And I should say 2023 Spring Dungeons & Dragons Influencer Summit, because there could be more than one within 2023, right? This was a huge event, and what I want to, and I'll tell you my subject real quick. You guys are so patient. I always try to get to my point right away. Today we're going to talk about specifically we're going to talk about the name of 1D&D and what is happening to the name 1D&D, right? And what is what 1D, it was 1D&D, what is it now, right? And so let's talk about that, right? So just look at what's happening. Look at the 2023 Spring D&D Influencer Summit, and look what came out of it. It is absolutely massive. So first of all, what's just happening with D&D right now, right? So in 10 days, in a 10-day period, right, there was D&D Direct, D&D Global Blockbuster Attempt Release, Global Film Release, right? D&D, and then D&D Influencer Summit, all within 10 days, right? And what's really astounding is I have lots of information about the D&D Spring, the 2023 Spring D&D Influencer Summit, and you know where it all came from? No Nat 1, the number one Pathfinder commenter in the world, right? And I'm not kidding. Like, the number one Pathfinder commenter in the world took the time to very carefully, expertly pull together a fantastic summary video of everything that came out of the 2023. And this is why I'm telling you, the OSR and the indie, D&D does not compete with a single other tabletop role-playing game in the world. The entire tabletop role-playing game industry is not, in its aggregate, is not serving as a competitor for Dungeons & Dragons, right? Because, this is why, and all these people, we came out of the 2023 OGL crisis, and they're all like, oh, look at this silly little event, Avatar Last Airbender game, Monster of the Week game, and they desperately want to put shine on these other games, but there's just nothing happening with these companies. There's nothing happening with the OSR, and there's nothing happening with the indies. The entire industry, the entire additional and tabletop role-playing game industry is so far put together, is so far behind what D&D is throwing down. With 50 to 75 paid employees, it's astounding. It is absolutely astounding, right? All right, so let's just get right to the point. Or you guys are incredibly patient. All right, so it is not going to be, 1D&D is no longer going to be a functioning name, okay? And what we're going to have now is, so what is the playtest? It is the 2024 revision to Dungeons & Dragons. Period. End of sentence. And this came out of the 2023 Spring D&D Influencer Summit. Okay? And so basically, and so what does this mean? So first of all, I am extremely excited about this, right? And the reason why is this is Hasbro saying, y'all can forbargo yourselves. You keep saying that this is going to be D&D 5.5, this is going to be D&D 6.0. You can forbargo yourself. You can go and forbargo yourself because you're wrong, right? And they're fighting to say no new additions. No new additions. No new additions ever. That's what they're saying. That's what the revision is, right? What they're really saying is, you can forbargo yourself because there ain't going to be a new edition, right? Dungeons & Dragons is Dungeons & Dragons. And I was on, and I spent a ton of time on this channel, completely recrafting my language and saying, yeah, I'm in, man, 1D&D, there's just Dungeons & Dragons, right? And then the community was like, no, you can't take away the edition wars. I've got a virtual edition war cleaver here, and I got my edition war helm here, and I have my edition war plate armor. And how can I castigate people and make fun of them if I don't have a number that we can divide ourselves over? Please don't take away my hate material. Please don't take away the fuel I burn in my heart to hate others, right? Which is editions, right? Like, and I was like, I think this is amazing. I think this is an awesome idea. And then guys like Teos Abadia and Sean Merwin came in and go, no, there's going to be new editions. So like, we're just going to talk about it as an edition. And I was like, what are you doing, man? These guys are trying to end the edition wars, and you're not giving them any help, right? And then the entire community came back and said, we reject one D&D. And then I think what happened is Hasbro was like, we have the power, right? All we have to do is just say, this is the 2024 revision to Dungeons & Dragons, right? And then what we do is we simply print we print the D&D canon hardback, which carries the heart of the game, right? And here's what we do. We simply say, D&D canon hardback, okay? So we print the D&D canon hardback, and it says Dungeons & Dragons, and it says Player's Handbook. That's it, Bo. And the community can go kick rocks, right? Because they don't really have any real power, right? Like, they listen to us, and if we're civil, and if we're civil to them, we have power, right? But we can't castigate them and kick them in their jumblies every day and then still retain power. And that's what the OSR allies are really upset about. Is they're like, we want to keep that abusive relationship where we kick you daily. We virtually kick you on our streams every day, but then we get your views, right? Like, it's wow. Okay, so basically, this is a big deal, because this is them not giving up and saying, hey, just D&D. This is a really big deal, because this really is a very savage virtual attack directly toward the OSR. And what it really says is, oh, are you out there playing D&D 1E? Are you out there playing D&D 2E? Are you out there playing D&D 3E? Those aren't OSR. That's Dungeons & Dragons. That's Dungeons & Dragon. That's us, right? And OSR is OSE, which is a copy of D&D 1E, and DCC, which is a copy of D&D 2E, and Pathfinder, which is a copy of D&D 3E. And those are all old Dungeons & Dragons, but they're not old school rules, right? Old school rules is low copy energy nonsense that the OSR makes, right? Like, and they're saying Dungeons & Dragons is Dungeons & Dragons, and they'll never, and I think they're going right back to it. They will never print another edition of Dungeons & Dragons ever. You will get a 2024 revision to Dungeons & Dragons, right? And you will have people playing with the 2014 PHB and the 2024 PHB at the same table, and you'll have somebody playing with the 2034, and we will not have reached 6th edition. That's fascinating. That is fascinating. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.